By this time next week, the bracket will be unveiled. We are almost at March Madness, but first, let's talk about the madness from this past week. Clayton, Collier here going through my AP Top 25 ballot. Not a lot of change at the top overall. Gonzaga staying at number 1. They didn't play all of last week, but they do get San Francisco tonight. In fact, my ballot for this top 5 was the same as the AP Top 25 overall. I have Arizona at number 2. They're up to 28-3 on the season, a 3-0 week, including win over USC as well. Baylor beat Texas and Iowa State. Now, a lot of votes were very close right here between 2 and 3 with Arizona and Baylor. Overall, I decided to put Arizona still at number 2 because, as I said, 28-3 on the year, and 2 of their losses were to UCLA and to Tennessee. Not bad losses at all for them. Baylor checks in at number 3. Then Auburn and Kentucky at 4 and 5, both of them with 2 big wins in the SEC against unranked opponents. They are 1 and 3 in the SEC tournament, seeding-wise, respectively, for this week. At number 6, Kansas split with TCU, then topped Texas in overtime, so I put them at number 6 at my ballot. This is where we start to deviate between my ballot and the overall AP Top 25. I put Villanova at number 7 because, well, they just beat Providence, and that is not easy to do. The Friars dropped to number 8 in my poll with the loss against the Wildcats in this one as well. Duke, I dropped only to number 9, 1 spot. I had them at 8 last week, but hey, this was an emotional game. That loss to UNC, unranked at home, usually a loss. I would drop a team a little further than that, but emotional game. Coach K's last game at Cameron, they end up falling in that one, so I only dropped them 1 spot to number 9. At number 10, the Tennessee Vols. After topping Arkansas, I had the Vols at number 11, but then Wisconsin lost to Nebraska. And listen, that win over Purdue was impressive for the Badgers, but hey, if you lose to an unranked opponent and a sub-500 team like Nebraska, I'm not putting you in my top 10 this week, so I checked them in at number 11. Purdue right behind them at number 12. It's been a rough go for the Boilermakers. 4-3 in their last 7 games. Now, Arkansas, I would have had them top 10 if they beat the Vols. Instead, they settle for a series split, and I leave them right where they are in my ballot at 13. Number 14, Texas Tech. It's been tough for them as well. Lost 2 of their last 3, both unranked losses. Iowa State coming up on Thursday in the Big 12 tournament. St. Mary's didn't play, so I leave them alone at 15. They're also in action tonight. Number 16, Murray State. How about the Racers? 30-2 on the season. They've won 20 in a row and are Ohio Valley champs. At number 17, Illinois beat Iowa, so I checked them in right there. Right behind them, UCLA getting the big win over USC this week. UConn at number 19, they lost to Clayton, so I dropped them down from 14 all the way down to 19 in my ballot. Then at number 20, I have Houston. They got blown out by Memphis. Now they're 5th in the net rankings. They ended up 18th overall in the AP poll, but they only have 1 quad win, and that bothers me. And overall, their resume just doesn't support it being much higher. They've been all over the ballot spread throughout this week as well. For me, I think they need to win the American to stay on my ballot come next week for the final ballot of the year. At number 21, we have Texas. Texas lost to both Baylor and Kansas this week. That great overtime game at Kansas, they lost, but 2 top 10 losses for them, so they only dropped 1 spot in my poll. Colorado State pulling off the series sweep of Boise State, so I checked them in back on my ballot at number 22. USC, as I mentioned, 2 losses, routed by Arizona, also lost to UCLA, the 2 top teams in the Pac-12. They may need to beat one of them in the conference tournament this week to remain ranked. At number 24, Seton Hall. They've won 5 straight, 6 quad 1 wins, 9-9 in quad 1 and quad 2 overall. And then there's number 25. I considered a lot of teams. I spent a lot of time on this last night. San Diego State, Boise State, UNC, Iowa, South Dakota State. The list went on of teams I considered, but it came down to this. Memphis is back on my ballot. Why? Because since January 23rd, the Tigers have won 10 of 11 games, including 2 double-digit wins over Houston. No one else I considered holds a candle to that. And sure enough, that's why Memphis is back on my ballot for the first time since December at number 25. Have a comment. Let me know on Twitter at Clayton J. Collier. I'll be back next week with my final ballot explainer of the college basketball season.